In 2024, I gained 22 pounds of mass in 7 months as an arm wrestler. And in this video, I will show you exactly how you can do it as well. First of all, you are not going to hear any science-based stuff here. This is what worked for me personally and also what worked for some of the athletes that I'm coaching. Short story first, my first nationals in arm wrestling in 2024, I injured myself really badly and I couldn't even pull my calf brake for about 3 months. So I thought, because I'm injured anyway and I cannot train for arm wrestling, let me try out powerlifting. I always wanted to deadlift, that was my favorite powerlifting discipline. And the good thing was I could bench, squat and deadlift and I didn't even feel my injured tendon in the wrist. So in April 2024, I started to do powerlifting and my starting weight was exactly 150 pounds. After 7 months, I was 172 pounds and to be completely honest, I was pretty lean. I will give you 5 principles and you need to focus on all 5 in order to be successful with your bulk. The last tip is the most important one, so make sure you follow it strictly. The first most important tip that I can give you is to add compound movements to your training. At that time, it was more of a coincidence that I started to do all the 3 powerlifting lifts. But now, thinking in retrospect, that was one of the most important aspects that helped me gain all that weight. If your only goal is to gain body mass, there is nothing better than doing 3 of the most important compound lifts out there, because you will train every single muscle in your body. Of course, there are many other compound movements out there as well, but a squat, bench and deadlift take less time to master in my opinion than any other compound lift. What I did and what I recommend you to do is to add some accessory exercises as well. So for example, if you do your bench training, make sure you also add some isolated chest, shoulder and tricep exercises. The second tip is to focus only on one thing, and let me explain what I mean by that, because this is extremely important. If your number one goal is to gain muscle mass, your arm wrestling gains will suffer. If your number one goal is to get stronger in arm wrestling, the process of adding muscle mass will take much longer. You only have a certain amount of energy that your body can produce. It is your decision to put that energy into what matters the most for you. But be aware that everything else will suffer. Think about this in inputs and outputs. What you put in is what you get out. If you split your energy into 3 different things, the outcome will not be that great as when you put your full energy into one thing. So let me give you a few examples so you understand exactly what I mean by that. In my opinion, you can only focus on one main thing for a period of time, and that ties together with what your goals are. For example, if your goal is to gain 20 pounds over the next 5 months, make that your number one goal and be aware of the fact that your arm wrestling progress will suffer. If your goal is to get 20% stronger in arm wrestling, make that your number one goal and be aware of the fact that you will not be able to do anything else besides it effectively. If you really want to achieve something, you have to put all your energy into that one thing and not to split it into 5 different things. This is something proven. I have athletes that try to do so many things at the same time, without success of course. So after we started to focus on only one thing, the progress skyrocketed. If you really want to be effective and to achieve something in any sport, not only arm wrestling, this should be one of your main principles. The next tip on the list is to use the progressive overload method when you do your training sessions. You have to understand it is not enough just to do all the compound movements and the accessories. You'll also have to make the progressive overload principle one of your main training principles. I already did a video where I talk in depth about the subject. I'll put it down in the video description, but you basically have 5 main methods to apply the progressive overload principle to your training. Increasing the intensity, increasing the volume, increasing the frequency, increasing the range of motion, and increasing the effort. Go to that video after you watch this one, because there you have everything explained in depth. You cannot expect to grow if you go into the gym and you lift the same weight with the same reps and sets every single time. The body doesn't have a reason to grow if the stimulus is the same every single time. In order to grow your muscles, you have to give them a new stimulus every single time you step into the gym. And you do that with the help of the progressive overload principle. At this point, I also have to mention a very big factor for all of this, and that is your level of experience and for how long you have been training. As someone new, you can expect to add a lot of muscle mass, but the more experienced you are, the smaller the improvement will be. It is also not important for how long you have been lifting, but for how long you have been lifting in the right way. Because when you walk into the gym, 90% of the guys don't even train. You can't call that training what they are doing. Dorian Yates said this, and it is extremely true. You can't even call many of the gyms anymore. They are only training facilities, because nobody trains hard. So as a conclusion, let a woman work light and do that 3x12, and make sure you push yourself and you use the progressive overload principle. By the way, all the equipment you see in my videos is from Golden Grip, and with my code Alex, you will get 10% off on any purchase you make at goldengrip.com. The link is down below. The next tip on the list, and now we are getting deeper down the iceberg, is to give the body enough time to recover. This might sound obvious, but when you start to train the compound lifts recovered and you also apply the progressive overload principle, your body will get damaged. In arm wrestling, we damage mainly our muscles, tendons, joints, and ligaments. But objectively, we don't damage our nervous system that much. Of course, if you are an advanced arm wrestler and you're really strong and you're working with big weights and compete a lot, you will damage your nervous system. But most of you are not that strong yet to damage the nervous system heavily from arm wrestling. But when you do the compound movement, you will damage the nervous system and all the other structures as well, even if you are not that strong yet. So it is very important to make sure the body has enough time to recover. That's also one of the reasons why you have to focus on one main thing, as we already covered a moment ago. Imagine you damage the body with your compound lifts and then also with your arm wrestling training. If you are a natural athlete, you will not be able to recover from that. It is very important to keep this in mind and to make sure your recovery is on point. And now we are getting to the last building block for a successful bulk, and that is your nutrition. None of the stuff we covered matters if you don't take care of your nutrition. As a baseline rule, in order to bulk, you have to be in a caloric surplus. It is that easy. People like to overcomplicate stuff, but at the end of the day, you have to eat more calories than you burn. And because this channel is about being real, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. When I gained 22 pounds in 7 months, the only thing I made sure was to cover my protein intake. My protein intake was about 160 grams every single day. Other than that, I was eating bread, chocolate, bread with potatoes. I didn't really eat clean. Do I recommend you to do the same? Of course not, because you don't have my metabolism, and if you do the same, you will most probably end up fat. But I want to keep it real here and not to be in the broccoli chicken fake influencers club. And of course, today I'm much more knowledgeable, so I myself would do this differently. I encourage you though to get a healthy intake of protein of about 1 gram per pound body weight. Try to have a good balance of carbohydrates and fats and make sure you gain weight. That's your sign that you are doing it right. Small weight increments every single week. And this is it. As long as you follow all these tips, you will bulk. I can assure you of that. If you have any questions, write it down in the comment section below. With that being said, keep your eyes on this channel. Great stuff is coming.